It's the Real Estate Podcast, brought to you by ANZ Home Loans for financial well-beings.
Hey, welcome back to the Real Estate Breakfast on another weekend that is dropped. Yes, it's real estate all the way as we talk about your suburbs right around Australia every morning, breaking down the numbers and the trends. And there is much to digest, like a good meat pie. Yeah, don't mind a good meat pie. It is a Saturday, August the 2nd. Good luck out there too if you're attending an auction. I know that we say that every week, but today might be your turn to arrive at a property that you want to bid. You've psyched yourself up. Go in strong, remember. Also feel as confident as you possibly can, and don't lose your nerve. Hold on to the nerves. You've already worked out what your budget ceiling is, and who knows, you might be lucky enough to walk away with the keys. Right now, though, let's head up north to the sunny, warm seaside resort of Hervey Bay, where everybody is feeling happy and calm. Scott Mitchell from Mitchell's Realty is one of the most happiest fellas you'll find on the Fraser Coast. And good morning to you, Scott. Welcome back to the Real Estate Breakfast this morning. Do you like a good meat pie?
I certainly do, Craig. I actually like a meat pie so much that I just put a 12-volt pie warmer in my boat even, so I can have a proper pie when I'm out fishing.
Actually, meat pies do tend to taste a little better for whatever reason when you're sort of on the ocean.
Certainly. Everything's better when you're on the ocean fishing.
Although I will say, as far as meat pies are concerned, I kind of limit myself, probably one every couple of months. Got to watch the cholesterol for sure. Now, let's talk about the Fraser Coast Property Industry Association, because they got together. I think you're at this meeting, Scott, talking all things Hervey Bay. It's not a sleepy country area anymore.
No, 100% not. No, we were lucky. I've been a founding member of the Fraser Coast Property Industry Association group. It's been running for a few years now. We engage regularly with council directly just to keep us all up to speed with what is going on with our local real estate market and what direction is Hervey Bay heading in. We were lucky enough to have Gerard Carlton, who's our Deputy CEO, put on a really, really good economic development report for us, which I've uploaded now to my website so that anyone at the end of all this can download that report under our news tab, Property Insights tab on mitchellsrealty.com.au, because it's a really informative report. I was not aware that Hervey Bay specifically is the 27th largest community in Australia. That's averaging 2.1% growth per annum. That was pretty remarkable, I thought.
And what about the estimated population at the moment? What's the numbers looking like now?
Yeah, across the Fraser Coast, Gerard said that we're sitting around that 120,000 mark as of last year, which was a 2.3% increase from the previous year in 2023. Our average growth rate has been around that 2.4 per annum for the last 4 years since the pandemic. Hervey Bay is just on that steady upward trending boom. I can't think of another way to describe it, and certainly has no signs of slowing down at the moment.
And also, you guys were talking about the average median house price across Hervey Bay. That is steadily on the rise as well.
Well, it is. We're still plenty affordable, though. It's sitting currently around that 620,000 mark for a 4-bed, 2-bath double lockup, which still makes us more affordable than many of the areas to the south of us.
Yes, and you've also got some positive major projects that have been approved and under construction, including the new council chambers, supermarkets, hotels, etc. That is going to be good for the job growth. So if you are in the trades looking for a location, perhaps there is the spot to head to. Scott, median age on the Fraser Coast is, I think it's, 51 these days?
Probably older than the general demographic across regional Queensland, which I think was sitting around that 38. So sitting at 51 across Hervey Bay. I'm not sure it was something that we ever liked to spruik about, but they used to say we were the newlyweds and nearly deads. We're hopefully not heading directly in that direction, but the average age is certainly higher than most of the other regional areas. That's because a lot of people coming to Hervey Bay are still coming here to retire and for the lifestyle, and why wouldn't you do that?
Yes, they reported that over 1,000 houses in lifestyle villages have already been completed, with over 1,500 more on the way, already approved. Now, the local Hervey Bay Fraser Coast economy, that too is also growing and rising by an average of 6.7% per annum over the past 4 years.
Yeah, which is fantastic. It's much stronger than, again, regional Queensland in general, which I think was sitting around that 2.7%. And that's because we're in a booming market. There's just no other way of describing what's going on across Hervey Bay. It is a booming market and a booming economy. There's just so many new opportunities, which will essentially change our demographic going forward as well.
Yeah, we've talked in the past, not just the trades. If you are in the healthcare sector, there are opportunities across the Fraser Coast, particularly in Hervey Bay. All right, we are talking to Scott in Hervey Bay. When we come back, we're going to have a look at a little bit about the tourism on the coast and also aviation and just what has been happening around those flights in and out of Hervey Bay. We'll talk about that next.
You're listening to the Saturday Property Market Update from the Emotion of Property. The economic inflation, managing your expectations, lack of stock, price growth, construction appetite, days on the market. Stay informed with us and know your property.
Sydney's 14 newly minted $1 million suburbs highlight a bit of a stark reality, and that is Australia's most expensive housing market is rapidly exhausting its affordable option. Coming back to Camden, it's got that median house price $995, so nearly at $1 million, Antoinette.
Yeah, there's a lot of newer homes in the Camden LGA which have been just recently built. Currans Hill, obviously one of the more original suburbs of the Camden LGA. We've got larger blocks of land for about 500 to 600 square metres with 4-bedroom or 3-bedroom options with double garages, which is, I feel, is great value there in that area for $995. Suburbs like Mount Annan, which are close by as well, very similar. And we move into probably Elderslie, who have similar prices as well. But the newer areas have all got also closer to that price range as well. But the difference being in, say, Gregory Hills, Gledswood Hills, Spring Farm and Catherine Field, Oran Park, probably close to $1 million there as well as medium price. Newer homes, but on smaller blocks of land. So suburbs like Currans Hill and Mount Annan, I feel, have got great homes on great blocks of land.
Explore new property destinations where you could live with exclusive interviews covering real estate news and market insights.
And it is a real estate weekend. It's a Saturday, the 2nd of July, and you might be planning on a trip somewhere. It might be the Fraser Coast because the tourism around Fraser Coast, as it's been reported, Scott, looking pretty strong once again.
The most recent report, Gerard put it at $684 million in visitor expenditure across the Fraser Coast ending in December 2024. And recreational fishing still contributes annually in excess of $30 million a year to the local economy. So we've got so many fantastic holiday and visitor options here, and we're coming into our peak whale watching season, which will now kicks off generally in August. There's whales in the bay now already. They've just started to arrive in reasonable numbers. These numbers will build over the next 2 to 3 months. It usually peaks in September, and then they start to leave the bay and migrate south after that. Hervey Bay really is the best whale watching destination in the world, I'll say. It's a unique experience where these whales come and they spend time in the bay and they lay up for sometimes a couple of months with the mothers and calves, and you can get a very intimate encounter. So if you haven't done it, certainly put it on your bucket list and make the trip up here essentially in August, September. They would be your peak months to come up here and experience a pretty unique whale encounter.
Yeah, I can definitely vouch for that, having done it. It is an amazing experience. And I think you're right when you say that the whale watching, the best in the world, who is going to argue with that? I don't think there's a better location to have a look at those whales when they're in season. Now, we talk about the tourism that is up, plenty of people going into the Fraser Coast. Of course, what happens is they go in, they're having a look around, they're on holiday, they go, and how many times have we done this in other locations? It might be the home that you're in right now, and you've said, I could live here. This is a place where I could definitely put down roots. It's one thing to say, I want to go somewhere. It's a different thing when you look at the transportation. And one of the key things here, Scott, is the introduction of Jetstar with those Melbourne flights that have been added. So if you're in Victoria, good news to escape.
Certainly, yeah. They've been a bit of a boon again to the economy, not just for visitors wanting to come up here on holiday, but also those wanting to visit family and friends who have made the move to Hervey Bay. So being able to connect essentially daily with direct flights back into Sydney, and then we've got at the moment 3 flights a week back into Melbourne, and they are speaking about increasing those. And we've got 4 flights a day, I believe, at the moment going back to Brisbane. They're going to reintroduce the early morning and late evening flight, which will make it great for those looking to commute to Brisbane on business. You'll be able to get those early morning QantasLink flights and then still get back in the same day, which will be a great addition to our aviation flight services as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it, because over the past 12 months, passenger numbers have increased by an average of 30%. So that's pretty reasonable. Now, just before we go, how's the market? Like, what has been happening since we last spoke to you? How buoyant? How are the sales? How are those inquiries, especially coming from interstate? What's going on?
Been really, really steady. And it feels like we were all talking about that interest rate adjustment last month, and I think most of us didn't see the Reserve Bank holding firm on that current position, but we're all expecting to see it shift next month for sure. The general consumer confidence has certainly come back, and the markets I've noted across the country have all been pretty strong. We get that flow-on effect in Hervey Bay that we've spoken to before, so that a lot of our purchasers have had to need to sell somewhere else. And the fact that they've sold in those other areas allows them to move to Hervey Bay. We're coming into that traditional spring selling season as well.
You know, I think one of the reasons why people are so happy, many of them there in Hervey Bay, is that they have sold elsewhere and they've got a lot of money sitting in the bank because they have bought a lot cheaper and life is pretty good. So we'll wrap it up there, Scott. Enjoy your weekend there on the Fraser Coast. Great to hear the report and some of those key findings. And yeah, look forward to talking again soon.
Yeah, we'll do, Craig. If you haven't come up to visit us, make sure you do.
Each week, we bring you in-depth real estate discussions, including inspiring stories from homeowners, knowledgeable real estate professionals and economists. Whether you're a buyer, seller, or just a real estate enthusiast, we are your ultimate property podcast.
Nationally, we now have 5 of the 8 capital cities with a median house price of over $1 million. We've got Sydney leading the way with a median house price of $1.7 million. That is double the median unit price.
Yeah, and, coming back to Sydney, that 1.7, that is up 4%. As we look at Sydney, where are we seeing the strongest growth in house prices, and what do you think fundamentally is behind this problem?
In terms of Sydney market, house prices are soaring in some of the western areas where houses are more affordable in terms of the factors behind that. The strongest house growth was in the southwest region. That was up 10%. That's taken the median house price in southwestern Sydney to $1.2 million. Parramatta was 8.8% with its median house price now $1.45 million. So those areas, their growth's been incredibly strong.
It's definitely always in the back of my mind. I think when I was in my 20s, it was sort of less prevalent back then. I feel like, definitely women my age in their 30s, that's 100% accurate, but it's a thought that I think is there. I'm actually trying to imagine my sort of life right now and having to pay a mortgage and then also raise 1 or 2 children and also have to work.
We connect you to the best real estate information across Australia. The Real Estate Podcast.